Well, it's been a long time since we've talked, book sniffers. I'm going to go ahead and try to start back up my reading series because there's a lot of things that I would love to discuss and give you information on that maybe you don't have. So, for those of you who are new to me, this is Red Ink. Red Ink is basically one of my ways to give out free advice and free information on the writing world and how to be a better author. You can find more information from me at editsbystacey.com. So if you're interested in finding out more or getting more free resources, you can find me there. But in the meantime, like and subscribe, and let's get started with some advice today. Today, I wanted to talk about how to write relatable characters in your book. This is one of the things that I think I run into a lot is you get this great advice out there from a lot of writers and a lot of readers, and you just don't know how to execute. So I'm going to break this one down for you into 5 real easy ways that you can create relatable characters that will help you engage with your readers. So the very first thing that you need to do, number 1, is understand your character's motives. A lot of times I'm working with an author and they're trying to write a character that is going through the plot in a certain way, and maybe they're risking their life for some person or somebody in that story, and they're executing some type of feat, but there's no real understanding of what's motivating that character or why that character would actually do that, why they would actually go through those motions. So what you need to do as a writer is really kind of hone in on your people skills. And there are some specific ways you can do this. You could go people watch. One of the really great ways to do this is just go find a park bench where there's a lot of foot traffic and just kind of observe the crowd. Go to your local farmers market or go to the mall, or I mean, I guess that kind of ages me, but you can go places where there are people and watch, learn, listen, be a little bit of an eavesdropper. It's okay. The other thing that you could do is you could read biographies or autobiographies, really study the life and the motivations of others, maybe that are popular or that you are interested in reading about. There's a lot of great people out there that have shared their stories, and it's really great to understand and know what pushed them to exceed the norm. And so you can get a lot of that information in autobiographies. Another way to study human behavior is to conduct interviews. Go out there and ask people. Like if you have somebody in the community that you're interested in learning more about, go ask them questions. A lot of people like to talk about themselves. So go ahead and reach out to those people and find out what motivates them to do what they do. Another way to learn about people is to read psychology books or sociology books, or uh, study papers on behavior in crowds, and maybe behavior of people in existential circumstances. Like reach out and see what drives people to do things that they do. Watch documentaries, films, practice learning and engaging with people that maybe you don't understand, or that you don't normally empathize or work with. And one of the things that I love to do is I love to watch a couple of people on YouTube that have really great channels. The Behavior Panel, I love watching them and watching how they can analyze people's behavior, and they even sometimes go into the psyche a little bit, not very much, but Killer Psyche does that in that podcast, kind of revealing a little bit of my true crime loving aspect of my personality. But I love getting into the mind of a criminal and finding out what really kind of like makes them tick. And it helps me understand behavior and motivation. So it's a really great way for you to study. So just become a studier of persons. That's basically the first step of this whole thing. And it's going to be the longest process, basically. But motivations is a huge part of everybody's reason for getting up in the morning. So make sure that when you are pushing a character through a plot that you understand what would make them do that. Okay. So second thing, develop flaws and imperfections. And you always hear this from people about how to, develop a flaw or put a flaw in there. Make sure that if you're doing something for a protagonist, it's not something that's going to be like, that's going to really clash with the personality and the flaws, unless that's part of what you want to create there, that juxtaposition that maybe a character has to make decisions and it go against his moral character. That would be really cool. But just make sure that you're doing that with purpose. When you're putting in flaws, make sure that there are things that people can relate to. Imperfections often make people seem more realistic. The third thing to do is to show vulnerability, or show, what I like to say, show them naked, like really kind of show you're going to show yourself through this process as well. And it is revealing and sometimes traumatic and maybe therapeutic for those of you who like to write your story through your characters. But one of the things that you can do is create vulnerable characters so that your readers sympathize and empathize with them. When you have a vulnerable character that is opening up and being exposed in some way that the reader can relate to, they're going to naturally be invested in what that character is doing. So you're going to create that connection with the reader. Make sure that you are, helping the reader see that they are having a moment of weakness maybe, and that they are going to grow and get stronger through that process. That is going to really kind of like be a clincher when it comes to helping your readers really engage with your characters. Fourth, create real relationships. Make them authentic, make them genuine, make them purposeful, and make them part of the character's growth story. Relationship in any kind of story should really have kind of a purpose to help the character go through what we like to say the character arc. And that is that inner story, that driving story. It usually is the main story, even though it may not be the plot and it may not be what the character is doing in the story, but it is the thing. The character arc is what pulls the reader in. It's what actually holds your reader and binds them to the story that you're telling and to you as an author. So creating those relationships will help show dynamics and show dimensions in your character. And it also is a good way to reflect different aspects or themes that you're trying to get across in your story. So use those relationships, make them realistic and make them authentic, make them real. And then the last thing, 5, is to show that internal conflict, or that internal growth, or that internal story. That arc is the most important thing that people, I think, underestimate or take for granted in a story. It's the character arc that really carries the story and really carries the relationship from the reader to the author. And you want to make sure that you've got a strong character arc that is going to hold your reader's interest, and that's going to feel relatable and feel like something that the author, something that the reader can really invest time in. So there are my 5 tips for how to engage your readers better and to create these relatable characters so that they can feel really, really connected to you and to your story. And again, if you have any questions or you want to get some more information, free resources, you can find them on my website at itsbystacey.com. And again, you're welcome to subscribe and like and follow, and I will try to get these out on a regular basis to you guys so that you can have some real meaty information that's going to really help you become a better writer. And I wish you the best, and you keep sniffing those books. We'll talk to you later.